Hey, welcome to the Brisbane Small Business Show. Today, I've actually got Kate Wivertine. Is that the...
Witteveen.
Witteveen. There you go. Look, I'm a little dyslexic occasionally. But we were having a lovely conversation just then, all about Kate's background. So we're going to share that with you first. Kate actually has a really strong background in academia, and through that came into coaching. So a really different way than a lot of people have done this, but comes with a great deal of knowledge. So tell us a little bit more about your background and how you came to be doing what you're doing.
Sure. Thanks, Kevin. Yeah, so as you mentioned, my previous life, I was in academia for 10 years. So I did my PhD in psychology and was a full-time professional academic and really loved a lot of what I did. But, as time goes on and you move up the chain of command, you get further away from the things that you love doing. So as I came into management roles, I really missed my students. I missed the contact with them and I missed having that really direct impact. And so I decided to do probably the scariest thing I've ever done, and that is to have a career pivot. And I left academia and started my own coaching practice.
It's really funny. I really hate the word pivot. I don't know why, I just do. But anyway, I've got to get over it because we're all doing it all the time. Yeah. I call it strategic navigation personally, but nobody else seems to have cottoned onto that. So we'll just call it pivot. That's fine. Now tell me, and it's really, really true. The higher you get in the corporate world, the higher you get, the less of your technical skills you actually get to use. And so being a small business, you get to use them all the time. Tell me a little bit more about your business. So what do you focus on?
Sure. So my business is, it's called Astute Consulting Services, and there's sort of three main strands to the business. So one is the coaching, one is consulting, and one is training. Because I do still love my teaching, so I love to run workshops for organisations, and those workshops are really around helping your organisation to perform at its best. So things like communication and building trust and being creative in the workplace are really fun workshops to run. The coaching element is really around, I work across the lifespan, but probably the common thread is navigating transitions and thriving through those transitions. So whether it's people getting to the end of their university studies and going, okay, I've got a piece of paper, what am I going to do with it now? Or if it's people coming back into the workforce after an extended period out going, it looks very different to what it looked like 5 years ago. Or someone who wants to conduct, as you would say, a strategic navigation of a mid-career change.
If I steering the Titanic strategically navigated a little bit better, he would have missed the iceberg, right?
Indeed.
The funny thing is, nobody thanks you for avoiding a crisis. They only thank you for getting people out of the crisis. So, funny thing. The thing that's more valuable, nobody really values. It's a bit strange. But let me talk to you about the success mindset. You wanted to talk today about success mindset, but every small business owner is looking for success, right? They all want success. So isn't that a success mindset?
Yes and no. I think there are multiple elements to a success mindset. And I think one of the things that I hear very often, because one of the things I will ask my clients to do is define success. What does it mean for you? And what often happens is at the first attempt, there's a very external version of success. So it's those objective, observable things.
So when you say external, hang on, you're using coaching language here. So let's stop doing that for a second. When we say it's a very external language that they've got, what do you mean?
So things that we can see. So people are judging success by a certain amount of revenue or a certain amount of growth in their business, this many staff members, whatever it might be. So things that you can look at, see, touch, feel, and things that we would all generally agree look like success. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's absolutely fine. The challenge that I have with that is because it's very outcomes based, when those outcomes aren't being achieved, we feel like the opposite of success, which is failure.
You also touched on something there that they quite often at that stage are saying things that they expect others to value, if that makes sense. So they're not using their own measure of success. They're measuring success as they expect others would be judging them by. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I think there is sometimes we talk about this difference in sort of the quantitative and the qualitative components of it. So there are those, and you've probably heard of people who are millionaires yet suicidal. So you've got this sense that they've got these objective measures of success in inverted commas, but the qualitative experience or their emotional experience in that situation is very far from serving them well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and it's really important to get some of these basic points out because that's at the heart of it. If you're a business owner and you feel that you've got a bit of that imposter syndrome where you're kind of waiting for someone to knock on the door and go, hey, I know the truth here, right? You're not alone. I would say 95% of the world feel like that in whatever job they're doing, whether they've got their own business or whether they're in the corporate world. Lots of people have that. It's how your relationship with that is really important.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So for me,
your success mindset, what is, okay, it's great. We all should have a success mindset. Great. The first stage is we give a very superficial, this is what I think that you want to hear. What's the next stage?
Yeah. So the next stage is to get really clear about what actually matters to you as an individual, because ultimately your version of success is going to be different to what my version of success is. So it's really about getting a really clear understanding of oneself, what motivates us, what energizes us, what nourishes us, to really look at those qualitative components. And it does sound a little bit wishy-washy, but it can get down to a very practical level. So
that touchy-feely stuff. I do actually love it. So you said what motivates us, what energizes. So get both of those two parts. And then you said what nourishes us. What do you mean there?
Well, for me, success has to have a holistic component. So it's really about making the most of what you have, but also enjoying the process. So for me, incorporating things that are good for you, so whether it's physical activity or time with friends, time away, because I think sometimes, and particularly let
us have our time with friends right now. Stop that.
Sorry. Yes. Virtual time with friends.
Absolutely.
But I think in times like this, when we do feel a sense of external threat, that the economy is in trouble and things are not as we would like them to be, it's actually really, really important that we do allow ourselves to have some time doing things that are good for us, so rather than pushing and doing 15, 16, 18-hour days, which may be essential, but also having, carving out little pockets of time in there to do something, the amazing power of a cup of tea without a screen in front of you shouldn't be underestimated.
Yeah, it's Aristotle was it Aristotle that had his 3 doctors? And he had his, I can't remember. I remember there was time, there was quiet, and there was exercise, I think.
Yeah.
He was far more eloquent than I at that. So, but really important. I really love what you're saying. So the first part is get over what you think everybody else should be thinking. Come back to what's truly important to you, things that you value, what's, in plain terms, what's truly important to you.
Yeah.
And then, so motivates, nourishes, energizes and nourishes. So what is going to help you stay on track?
Yeah, absolutely. So if it's helpful, I've got a bit of a framework that I can talk you through really quickly, which might actually help.
I love frameworks.
Yeah.
Did you want to share a screen here while you do that?
No, I'll just do a verbal if that's okay. I can provide a visual if that's helpful. Okay, yeah. So very conveniently, the framework is the word Astute, which is the name of my business, but the acronym but actually each of the letters have quite a useful addition to this framework. So the first letter, the A, is align. So this is that real sense of getting clarity about your values and those things that really matter most to you. And these provide provide the guiding principles that can actually be really helpful in making decisions, particularly in times of ambiguity. So when you're saying, I haven't got a precedent for this, I don't know how to make decisions in this volatile, chaotic time, going back to basics and using those really clear values, your guiding principles, is a really good way of making sure that the decisions you make now will hold you in good stead moving forward.
Yep.
Then the S is strive, and this is the doing. This is being willing to do the work, and it's about setting an intention for how you want to be and also how you want to do. So what are the things that you want to commit to doing in order to get where you want to go? And as I said, committing to the being goals in terms of I want to be positive, I want to be optimistic, I want to be creative, I want to be resourceful. Those kinds of things are really helpful when you come to what do I want to do in terms of I want to survive. Actually, no, I want to thrive through this situation and beyond.
Absolutely. Now, and I want to also ask everyone to be kind to yourself. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You are not going to be who you want to be 24/7, 365. Look, you're going to have moments or days where you go, this is all too hard, and you're sitting in the corner rocking forwards and backwards. Be kind to yourself. Don't beat yourself up at that stage, please. Just remember, everyone's going through this. We are all in together. And this is why we started, or why I started Brisbane Small Business 5.5 years ago, to remind people that you're not alone. That there's now nearly 9,000 of us that are all going through the same stuff. So I really love where you're going with this.
Thank you. So the T is thank, and this is in recognition that gratitude is so powerful and it's really important. So gratitude has been found, it actually changes our brain, believe it or not. So it changes the structure and the function of our brain, which is a conversation for another day. But essentially, the idea behind incorporating a gratitude practice is that you can't be grateful and afraid at the same time. And when we're focusing on our fears, what that does is it really narrows our focus and it puts our brain into a state where it thinks that it needs to be in survival mode. And when we're there, we can't think creatively, we can't have empathy, we can't problem solve. And all of those things are really important, particularly at the moment. So just when we need those things the most, our fear will limit our access to those. So by having a gratitude practice can really kind of abate the fear and go, yep, not to say that everything's wonderful, it may not be, but I can still be grateful for X, Y, Z. And from that platform, I can launch something good.
Absolutely. It's not about a false whitewash positivity. It really is about genuine gratefulness. I love that.
Yeah. And a good little framework for that one is a statement which is yes and. So it could be, yes, this is really hard and I've got support available or something like that. So really not getting stuck. U is undo. And this is what can we stop doing that's not getting us where we want to go. So like you mentioned before, it's really important to be kind to ourselves. So the undoing may be being really hard on ourselves. It may be being busy but not efficient. So it may be checking emails 50 times a day rather than just setting aside some time to do that in a strategic way. So undo, often when I mention that, people go, oh, what do you mean? You know, that takes a little bit of getting used to.
I'm undoing something.
Yeah, but it's about creating space. It's about creating space for something that serves you better or, just stopping doing things that aren't serving you well. So that's undo. The next T is together. And this is a recognition about the benefits and actually the fundamental need we have for connection. And again, awful timing, but recognizing that even in this situation, there are things that we can do together. We can collaborate, we can co-create, we can communicate, all of those. Well, that's lots of C words. But the sense of recognizing that you're not alone, which aligns really well with your mission, and thinking about, as a business owner, being strategic. Who is in your village? who do you need in your village? You know, who are your people and how do you find them and how do they find you? And again, that can come across some really practical steps, but it's also just the recognition that emotionally is really important, that you're not alone. And the final one, the E, is elevate. And so this is, again, just recognizing that although we may not be able to have the whole answer or an entire solution right now, what's one small thing we can do today that we'll thank ourselves for tomorrow? You know, what is it that we can do for our neighbour or our colleague or our friend that is helping them, so that we all, you know, the rising tide kind of analogy. What small things can we do in this moment today? What can I do today that when I wake up tomorrow, I'm going to go, oh, I'm so glad I did that. You know, it's put me in a better position than I would have been otherwise.
Absolutely. Look, I love what you've got here, and this elevate. I always talk about you know, investing in your future self. Okay, because one of the people that I find a lot of business owners accidentally treat really poorly is their future self. Right?
Absolutely.
They're so busy doing today that they're not actually improving things, which would be awesome for their future self. And so, you know, treat your future self as your greatest customer.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
On your thing. So align, strive, thank, undo, together, and elevate. Absolutely. I do love that. I think it's great. So you've got this framework. Have you got, you know, something to share with that people could download or whatever?
Yeah, so if you have a look at my website, it's astutecs.com.au. There's a heap of blogs on there. There's which kind of talk about these things in greater detail, so they kind of provide.
Put that in the link below, in the comments below here. I've got to find a better way of doing that at some stage. But yeah, put that in the link below so that people can find your stuff really easily. They can also sign up for a newsletter or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so if you just go into the website, there's a contact me page. If you just provide your details, I'll keep you up to date with everything that's going on. And yeah, love to chat if anyone's interested in learning more. Fantastic.
Look, it is really important to do those things. And look, take a little bit of time and work on yourself each day. You know, even if you've got a busy day, even if you just get 5 minutes, I want people to take a little bit of time to work on themselves, to work on who they want to be in the future, so that they can get there faster. You know, I really believe with our whole C19 thing, we're through the ultimate, you know, the ultimate turmoil. We kind of know what that turmoil is now, and we can either be panicked by it, or we can go, that's going to be that anyway. So let's just put that aside. Let's start going through this transition phase. Who do I need to be at the other side of this so I can serve my clients better? That's who I want you to be thinking about. Kate, thanks very much for coming and having a chat today. I really do appreciate it. I have loved it. I've loved that we've been able to you know, help people. Kate promises to get back to everyone that puts a comment down below.
Absolutely.
We're going to teach Kate to use Facebook really well. You know, it's not as scary as it sounds. It really isn't. There are some very simple ways that we can go about helping people. So thanks very much for your time. I really appreciate it. A lot of people have appreciated it. We've got a few comments happening there. We will make sure that we get some downloads for you, and we will get some further information on a regular basis into the community from Kate as she embarks on using her Showcase membership better. Thanks very much, Kate.
Thanks so much, Kevin. Appreciate it.
Bye now.
Thank you. See ya.